predictions are open in the chat. The other thing as well, we are going to be having another broadcast in a couple of hours. Again, non-stop casting here at the CranKy Ducklings. As always, non-stop casting. In how long? Let me just double check. 7 hours. In 7 hours time from this message, we're going to be live once again on this channel with WTL, with World Team League. So non-stop content, but here we go. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. Predictions open. And spawning in the top left, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Terran player, the reigning world champion representing CranKy Gaming, as they are teammates. It is Oliveira. Here we go. And the prediction is going to be open for another minute or so you can place your bets in the chat. We will also have predictions going for the grand finals as well, as we do have an interesting opener actually. Dark going for a... Alright, yeah, it's Dark. Going for a hatch pool opener. So Dark does something very unique on this map. I haven't seen many other Zerg players do this, but it's something that you can pull off on Golden Aura. If you're wondering, this is a gasless opener. We're going to be going for a faster third base, and we're going to be delaying our gases for a very long time, hyper-fixated on mineral income instead. Now, the reasoning for this is specifically on Golden Aura. It's very similar to last season. Dark would do this on Neo Humanity. What Neo Humanity and Golden Aura have in common, very congested bases here. We have the natural and the third. With one creep tumor apart, it is very easy to actually defend these three bases with queens without links. All you have to do is rotate between this ramp and this entry point here with your queens, and Hellion run-bys can't really punish you, so you can get away with skipping link speed. You can skip link speed and delay it for a long time, and just focus on queen production and drone production. So it's a very greedy build, a very greedy opener by Dark, and very specific to this map. Back at home, we do have a Rax Expand out of Oliveira. Again, very standard. A very standard opener. The Reaper gets across the map, is going to be dancing with these lings. You still have to make the first 4 lings, of course, to defend against the Reaper. But from here, queen production is all you need as well. So again, it's because of the close proximity of all these bases, and also because of the narrow choke points as well. As Dark is going to be zoning this Reaper away. And Oliveira is going for an economic opener himself. He's going for a third CC before starport. Let's go. And very economic overall. Looking for a longer game. As Dark is going to be repositioned, getting in position, looking to deny the scout. Oh! Looking to deny the scout. Barely doesn't get the Reaper. But does keep Oliveira out of the main. As again, Dark is just droning, making queens. Still no gases. Now, to get into the mid game here, because gases are so late, and because we're delaying link speed for so long, this leads into roaches. This naturally leads into roach production instead of link bane. So we should soon be seeing, alongside the lair, alongside the gases, we should be seeing a lair and then a roach warren as well. So it should be a roach opener and a roach follow-up out of Dark. And Dark, he loves his roaches. Again, if you're familiar with Dark as a player, he is one, even before this patch, would very often play roach against Terran, eventually into Ling Bane. As Hellions are going to be vying for map control, they take down a couple of tumors, but again, you can see here that it doesn't take too much to rotate the queens and to deny these Hellions. There are Terran players. Oh, as we want the tumor. We do get it. Pretty big pickoffs here. 3 tumors go down. That's a lot of energy lost for these queens. But there are some Terran players that try to gamble a little bit and they try to run past the queens. But again, it's very difficult to Hellion dive here on this map. There's that Roach Warren on the way. Gas is being taken, and we should soon be seeing the lair as well. Should soon be upon us. Back at home, again, it was 3cc before. Oh, my apologies. Technically it was 3cc before before starport, but this is a 3cc 2-on-1. Let's go. We have the add-on swap upon us. Now, what a 3cc 2-on-1 is, very economic. Yes, very economic. It does mean that you actually cut Hellion production, which I think is a wise choice on this map. It's why we only have 4 Hellions, and instead we're going for a mass Marine push instead. Medevacs are on the way. We're going to be going for a 60 Marine drop with Stim. And I think this is a really wise choice. A regular 1-1-1 would go up to 6, even 8 Hellions, and Hellions, they're just not really effective on this map. As we were talking about, like, the potential to dive and the potential for damage just is very low for Hellions, so going into a 2-on-1 instead makes plenty of sense. And Oliveira is going to be adjusting likewise here on Golden Ore. Marine drop going to be moving out, third base being taken. Now, of course, because this is a 3cc variation, this 2-on-1 hits later than normal. That is true. But, again, very economic, and we're going to be able to vie for map control and look to punish the 4th. 4th base has been taken. It's a very exposed location as opposed to the triangular 3rd base. The reason why is because of this ramp. There's high ground vision. There's high ground right next to this base. A really good position for tanks later on down the line. Marines do arrive, but the roaches, they pop out just in time, and the push is deflected. So far, so good. Dark actually racing into an infestation pit. Oh my god. Okay. He's even going to be counterattacking. He catches some Marines for free. Ay, what is that? 4 or 5 Marines going down here without too much of a trade from Oliveira. A rough loss there. That is going to weaken this overall drop. And again, with this infestation bit, we can get into fast infestors for fungal growths to keep us safe, to have some kind of splash damage against the bio army. Oliveira trying to take control of this Onaga, but there's a roach in position as he reinforces and continues to try to find some damage. Clearing up creep, and he gets eyes on the 6th base of Dark. Dark is being so greedy. He's so tech heavy here. We have 1-1 on the way. We're getting into Link speed. Because we have a +1 melee, not +1 range, Dark he is going to be focusing on a transition into Ling Bane. So it's Roach Ravager to begin with to survive, and then get into Ling Bane into the mid game. And now the infestation bit is done, straight into a hive. A very 7-minute hive here from Dark. Ay. And I was talking about the defensive position here earlier, about how it's really difficult to break a 3-basing Zerg player or really punish the economy. The same is applicable to the Terran. You can see the Sim City, the tanks, the walls. So because of that, Dark isn't being aggressive, right? Dark, he's just being quite greedy, taking a 4th, taking a 5th base, taking up, respecting the advantages of this map. He knows that he cannot touch this 3rd, so why try? Why try to push in? Why try to be aggressive? Just be greedy instead and try to punish the 4th base instead, which is a lot more vulnerable. As right now, Darky's just hyper-fixated on keeping up with the drop play. Vipers are on the way, and we're talking about how powerful these defensive positions are, how heavily fortified they are. That all changes with Vipers. Vipers with Blinding Clouds, with Abductions as well. They can just shut down these tanks and allow for the ground army to push in. So again, this Hive Rush makes plenty of sense, especially with how Dark has been playing. We have an Ultra oh my god. We have an Ultra Cavern on the way as well. I'm curious if Dark is going to be pushing with his current army and these Vipers. It looks like he will. Dark is maxed. And after, whether or not he kills the 4th base, he's going to be going for Ultras as a follow-up. So he's already thinking about that next step. And again, like, this position may look good now, but Vipers, they can have their way with tanks. This is going to be a tough hold for Oliveira, as Dark is maxed. Now, he may want to wait a little bit. 2-2 is on the horizon. It would be a bit of an anti-timing if Dark were to hit down. And 2-2 still a ways off for Oliveira, so it is going to be worth waiting. As in a couple of seconds, these upgrades will kick in. Adrenal Glands also on the way. Vipers are topped up full of energy. Dark is getting ready for his push. Oliveira likewise with a sensor tower, with a tank line. That's a lot of tanks. That's what? 6 tanks in position here at the 4th. A couple of tanks spread out towards the 3rd. It is going to be difficult to push in. It's going to take a lot of Blinding Clouds. Meanwhile, Spire on the way, kind of plating. We're still waiting for those upgrades. I'm curious if Dark is waiting for Oliveira to take a 5th. I'm curious if he intends to push into the 4th or he's waiting for Oliveira to expose himself. As here we go, we do catch the army. Again, Dark with full map control. Oliveira is maxing himself. Again, Vipers, they do allow Dark to push in if he wants to, but it does look like he wants to wait a little bit longer. Wait for Oliveira to move out to a more compromised position like this, for example, here on the low ground. And this is where Dark can attack. Yeah, you can see his entire army rotating over. 3-3 on the way for our red Zerg player. He's in production. Gold base is on the way. And remember that there's no rush here for Dark. He doesn't have to push in. Like, we're still working on more upgrades. We don't have to attack. Here comes the Vipers. That's one tank for free. One tank for free going to be going down. Decent power bomb on the Vikings. Oliveira is slowly expanding though, and this now becomes a problem. I was talking about how the 5th base is going to be a very exposed location that Dark can take advantage of. But if we wait too long, we have CCs on the way, turrets, sensor towers as well. Oliveira, he's turtling up quite hard. Again, he's aware of like how exposed this position is. He's working on it. Meanwhile, Dark, Greater Spire on the way. We're getting ready for the late game. We're getting ready for it. It looks like Dark was hoping that Oliveira would be aggressive, but outside of the double drop, outside of the opening 2-on-1, Oliveira has been very passive. He's refused to push onto creep. And I'm sure Dark is lamenting. He's like, why don't you push in, Papi? Why don't you attack me? Oh no, I'm so vulnerable. Ideally, Dark, he wants to fight on creep. But Oliveira is not giving him that fight, and I mean, this is the correct move from Oliveira. Like, I know I've been talking about like what Dark is working up towards, but considering how greedy Dark has been with the opener and with his overall build, this is the correct move from Oliveira to just defend and just turtle on up and max out. He's getting into Ghost, of course. And we're in for a long one. It isn't just about this slow 5th, but we're going to be working for a 6th base eventually. Dark getting ready for Broodlords. At least Dark has been teching. So he's getting ready for that ultra late game. And here we go, we're pushing in. Tanks not quite within range, and Oliveira will be losing his bio army. The Ghost will survive, but the tanks will not. Oh my god, the power bombs. Taking down most of the medevacs. And that's what happens when you push on creep. Dark has been so patient, and that is the fight that he was looking for. Dark still maxed out. Oliveira dropping 40 supply. And this is also the reason why Oliveira has been so tentative about pushing onto creep as well. A couple of scans are being thrown down. Oliveira getting a read on what kind of tech we're working with. He sees the corruptors on the way. And yeah, Dark, Oliveira, he just has to slowly encroach here towards the army. Good files coming in. Now, at least Oliveira did preserve his ghosts. You can see here at the units lost tab, 0 ghosts have died this game, and that's what matters. Oliveira, he's just refining his army. He's getting into mech. We have Blue Flame on the way, Thors. For those wondering, late game TvZ, the ideal army composition for Terran is ghost mech. You know, tanks, Thors, and ghosts, Liberators as well. We have Neo Steel Frame, high sec auto tracking. We're getting into that late game army. Likewise, Dark also getting into Broodlords. Oh, we're looking for Fungals. We're looking for those Fungals. So Broodlords, they're just bullying those ghosts back. Oh my god. Fungals not quite connecting, but forcing back the army. Able to take down some of those tanks. Liberator as well. Such patient play here from Dark, pulling back. He does yoink in some of those ghosts. 2, 3 of them will go down, but we cannot push any further than that. Again, the defensive position here with the planetary, with the tanks, with the turrets, it's just a little bit too much. So Dark has to be careful not to overextend. You can see him plummet in army supply. That was a rough trade. Dark, he lost 3 Broodlords, a Viper. Those are the notable losses for Dark. But he did get 3 ghosts. So not a bad trade, kind of trading 1 for 1, ghost for Broodlord. Meanwhile, Dark, of course, he has the gold. He's taking every other base on the map. Top right, still uncontested, but there's a drone in position to eventually take it. It's very important for Dark to start mining here. When it comes to getting into a split map scenario, it's very important for the Zerg player to actually get a base above the Terran. If we have even bases, that's a better thing for the Terran because the Terran will trade more efficiently. So as a result, the Zerg player needs a larger back. But here we go. We have a massive link main counterattack. Bailey's going to be rolling into the planetary. And they do get into the mineral line. 23 ACVs go down and the base as well. Oliveira, he was hyper fixated on the main army, on the main 5th base. And his 4th was exposed. 25 SCVs go down, a tank as well. And Dark just taking advantage of, the attention of Oliveira. Meanwhile, we have a nuke on the way. The snipes! Oh! Yeah, one Broodlord. And the nuke will zone Dark away. Again, we mentioned it about how if we do end up in an even base count, basically, if Oliveira were to take top right, and again, his Ghost trades so efficiently, then he will have an advantage over his opponent. Dark does get eyes on these new bases. He's making his way for them. He knows he cannot allow these bases to get up and running. So far, he's going to be able to deny them, delay them at least a little bit. As Oliveira does rotate over. At the same time, in come the Broodlords, and Oliveira, he's being pulled apart. Nothing in position here. No tanks, no ghosts. Nothing here. SCVs are going down. And as Oliveira responds, we're diving on the army. Do manage to get 1, 2, 3 Thors. A couple of ghosts, but mainly Thors. Meanwhile, the Broodlords are still going to be threatening this base. With the death of those Thors, that means we have that much less anti-air. The Broodlords, they still reign supreme. I do apologize for some frame drops. When Dark pushed it, there were some frame drops on my end. So a little bit too many effects going on. But here come the ghosts. 16 SCVs go down, and Dark does pull back. Again, very attentive here, Dark is. Make sure as soon as he sees those ghosts, he just pulls back. As Oliveira is establishing another planetary. Meanwhile, I'm surprised that Dark still hasn't taken top right. Finally, this base is very late. Like, we want to mine from this base as quickly as possible. Because if the game progresses, and if Oliveira eventually takes control of this location, we want to make sure that there's as little minerals and gas available for Oliveira as possible. We want to take it as quickly as we can. Meanwhile, Nidus Worm here at the 4th. An ambitious Nidus is not going to finish. We can see Oliveira, he thought that maybe there was a borrowed unit giving vision. Bailings are rolling in, catching another 2 tanks. Oh, the ghosts! No! No! Oh my... The ghosts were caught out, and half of them go down. That should not have happened. A big pick off there for Dark. Just a random Lingbane counterattack catches the ghost in the end. We still have more ghosts, but that was a very efficient trade for Dark, and Oliveira just not quite looking, not quite paying attention at the time. Meanwhile, that's a lot of Broodlords. We have 10, soon to be 15 Broodlords on the way. This planetary is going to go down. And this is basically another base for Dark to take. He's taking top right and center left. Oliveira giving up on this position. How many ghosts do we have left? 14. We have basically 1 ghost for each Broodlord. 1 to 1. The Great Migration, as Oliveira, he has given up on this low ground base, which is, to be fair, again, because it's on the low ground, typically in a late game scenario, this base is going to be under control of the opposing player, of the Zerg. Is the case in ZVP as well. Have a Nidus on the way. Oliveira has eyes on this. Again, I do think that, especially with Oliveira losing this hatchery, losing this CC, we need to start working towards top right. And there it is. We have a CC floating on over. There isn't much to defend. There's very limited creep spread, so I do think Oliveira can take control of this area. Meanwhile, the Broodlords are pushing in, and we do have a nuke to zone away. Dark, he has to respect the nuke. Lings are being cleaned up. Dark being so annoying here with those borrowed Lings. Another Nidus Swarm being thrown down. The Broodlords pushing on forward once again. Oliveira getting ready to come in for a bit of a surround. He's looking to collapse on this army. Yeah, and Darky has to back off. He cannot engage, not like this. He's going to be able to get some Hellbats at least. Decent fungal as well. Oliveira now gets eyes on that base. And here we go from the right-hand side. The Ghosts! The Ghosts go down to the Banelings. Not like this. GG gets called. One bad fight too many. As Dark catches the Ghost and takes game number 1. GG. We didn't even have a fungal. Like, the Ghosts weren't even locked down. Darky came in from the right-hand side. I was even distracted as well. Like, oh yeah, like we should just be, you know, dancing with each other, zoning away. But Darky was able to come in, blindside Oliveira, gets the Ghost for a second time. And that's game 1 in the books. GG, well played. Dark will take a lead, but it's a best of 3. It is a best of 3 here between our two players. So we have plenty more to go. As we are being joined by some of the other casters. Okay, into the Inu, the Korean caster, and CranKy, the Spanish caster, are going to be joining us as well. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's get everyone in here. What's happening? Get everyone in here. It looks like the lower semifinals has concluded, so we're being joined by everyone. Inu, CranKy, Chicken Man, and Dave Testa. It looks like we have our first finalist ready for us. If you want to have a look at that, !B, you can have a look at the challenge or the Wikipedia page. We'll catch up once we wrap up this series. We'll get there. We'll get there. We will get there. Catching up in the chat. Horse, Papi, Look, we try to cast as much as we can. We try our best. How do you like casting StarCraft versus playing it? I wish I could play more. The reality is that because we cast so much StarCraft, I actually can't play the game too much. I do stream every now and then on my personal channel, over on light_VIP. I'm a Zerg player, ladder on the NA ladder. But because we're casting so much, like, I have to try to manage my sleep, and I also have to make sure I don't drain myself. I try to avoid ladder sessions before a cast, just so I have like enough energy to invest into the cast and, you know, be alert and be awake and all that stuff. So I wish there were more hours in the day. I wish I had more time to play. That's my sad reality. But here we go. We're getting into game number 2 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkione. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. Leading the series 1-0, it is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Terran player, also representing CranKy Gaming, as they are teammates. The blue Terran player, it is Oliveira. Why does the Zerg? I always thought he was Australian. I am Australian. What do you? The Australian server is on the NA region. I don't want to misconstrue that. I do ladder on NA because that's where the Australian server is. Shaking my head. Aye. I don't know if people think that the Australian server is on the Korean server, but no. It's on NA. Here we go. We're getting into our openers, and this time a much more standard opener. Winding it back, if you remember, we were putting a lot of emphasis and a lot of attention to how Dark was playing in game 1, talking about his gaseous opener, which is very unique to Golden Aura. You know, there's a bit of a PSA for any kind of Zerg player in the chat that saw game 1 and they're like, oh my god, I can be this greedy and I can, you know, just rely on roaches and rush into a hive and all this crazy stuff. Kind of, yes, but specific to Golden Aura. Golden Aura, the other map that you can do this on is Radizet Station. If you don't veto it, Radizet Station is another map where you can be hyper greedy on. This time on Alkione, Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener out of Dark. As standard opener, as the Reaper is going to be dancing with these Lings. Dark actually going to be investing into a 5th and 6th Ling as well. So quite a lot. So very standard of Dark. He's one of the few Zerg players that goes into 6 Lings instead of 4. As he will zone away Oliveira. Back at home, Oliveira likewise going for an economic opener as well. Once again, a 3rd CC. 3rd CC before Starport. To wind it back, in game 1, it was 3CC 2-1-1. There was a 2-1-1 follow-up to this. A 2-1-1 is 2 Raxes, 1 Factory, 1 Starport. We'll see if he goes for that again, or if he goes for a Starport instead. A 1-1-1 follow-up is what I'm getting at. So my eyes are on Oliveira as we go for an add-on swap. We're going for early game Cyclones. Interesting. Cure, is that you? Este Oliveira. For those wondering, both Cure and Maru, they have been playing around a lot with Cyclone openers. Now, this isn't a mass Cyclone build. You make 2, maybe up to 4 Cyclones. The goal is for map control. You shut down Overlords, you vie for control of the creep, you can threaten Queens. It's just a way to be a little bit aggressive early on. We're not going to be massing them up. So the Cyclones have revealed themselves. Once again, back at home, we have a Roach Warren on the way from Dark. As to be expected, it wasn't a gasless opener this time, but Dark, he skipped Link speed, or delayed Link speed, I should say, into a faster Roach Warren instead. Which is very Dark-esque. We spoke about it before, but Dark, he does embrace the Roach quite often. Does rely on Roaches in the early game, more often than not in this matchup. As Oliveira is going to be trying to punish this 3rd with those Cyclones. Behind this, a really interesting follow-up. So the Starport has been delayed because of that. Okay, because of the Cyclone production, and we're getting into another Rax. We're getting into a 2nd and a 3rd Rax. This is interesting. So we're building up an abundance of a bio army of Marines and Marauders. We're getting into double eBays as well. But we're going to be stuck at home because we have a very delayed Starport, which means very delayed medevacs to actually drop and sustain ourselves. Interesting. If it wasn't for the 3rd CC, I would be like, man, are we going all in? But, yeah, I mean, it was a 3CC opener. Cyclones, they do get a kill on another Overlord. As we rotate around, we can't quite push in, though. Plenty of Queens in position. Dark is cutting workers. Dark, he is not saturating his third base. We have Link speed on the way. Roaches, Ravagers, Pure Ling. Dark is going for one big push. We're cutting workers at 39. It's all or nothing for Dark. And Oliveira has no idea. Oliveira, he doesn't have a tank. He went for Cyclone production. He has add-ons on the way to the factory. He has double eBay on the way. Oliveira maybe being a little bit too greedy. And here we go. Dark has arrived. He's knocking down the wall. Lings are flooding across the map. Dark is all in. And Oliveira's not ready for this. Ay, ay, ay. And Dark collapsing on this position. SCV's going to be going to the Biles. The Biles connect as well. And sure, these Marines, they may have stim, but there's no medevacs. GG gets called, and just like that, Dark will take the series 2-0, killing Oliveira before he could get into his own game. GG. There was a moment when the Cyclones were harassing, and I glanced over at the drone counts. I think it was, no, sorry, was it the, I glanced over at the production tab, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, hold up. Where are the drones? Why are there no workers? I was like, oh, I see what's happening. GG, well played. Dark, very quick there to just commit here to his Ling Ravager, or Ling Roach Ravager all in. And I don't even think Dark was fully aware of exactly the build that Oliveira was going for. It was very interesting. It was very unorthodox from Oliveira. So because of his build of choice, again, delayed tank production, no medevacs to be active on the map, he was heavily reliant on his Hellions and Cyclones to scout, and he was being active, he was vying for control of the creep, but what he wasn't doing, he wasn't checking the third. He wasn't checking the third for drones. That would have been the tell. That would have been the moment where Oliveira can start piecing things together, but because he was more focused on killing overlords and he was on the right-hand side instead, he didn't quite see what was coming his way. He didn't see what wasn't being produced, which is drones, and yeah, with that, Dark does take a swift 2-0. I mean, game 1 was long, but game 2, it ended before it really began. GG, well played. And with that, predictions are going to be paid out. And we are getting ready for the grand finals. I will need a moment to set things up. but we can catch up on the brackets. And before us, you can see what has been going on some of the other streams. Un momento.